medical marijuana, universal background checks, sanctuary cities, dreamers. What do all of these seemingly disparate subjects have in common? Well, believe it or not, over 80% of Americans actually agree on these seemingly divisive issues. There are also 7 to 10 more hot-button issues of today where Americans find agreement in the 70 to 80% range. This is good news, right? Aren't we all enjoying this really harmonious society that's filled with civil discourse and peaceful conversation about making our world a better place? Let's check out some of the most frequently used hashtags of the last year. Love is love, that's nice. Black Lives Matter, all right, Me Too. Uh-oh, dump Trump. Crooked Hillary. I don't like what I'm seeing here. All lives matter. Make America great again. Fake news. Mansplain. White privilege. Drain the swamp. Not my president. Thanks, Obama. America first. Oops. So maybe my statement wasn't exactly right. Maybe it wasn't right at all. In reality, most of us feel that Washington doesn't really represent us at all. Our elected officials are corrupt, bought and paid for, self-serving, and we deserve better. We get so angry at what we see on the news and all around us, and then we get so frustrated that we can't fix it. And we eventually just kind of settle for apathy until something else comes along and we get so angry, and then we get so frustrated, and then we settle for apathy. And our emotional pendulum just keeps swinging. Angry, apathetic. Angry, ugh, enough already. It's got to stop. What if we could go back to the founding principle of America as a truly representative democracy? Novel concept, right? By the people, for the people. Everybody takes a turn. The banker takes a term, goes back to the bank. The teacher takes 2 terms, goes back to school. The doctor, the lawyer, the baker, the butcher, the basket weaver, everybody takes their turn, and we get a government that actually looks like us and represents us for who we are. But how do we do this? What's the answer? Well, I'm going to share with you a few lessons today that I've learned in my experience as an elected official that can help you be an immediate part of the solution. But first, I want to say something that's really kind of dawned on me in the last 3 years. We create this super divisive environment, but we actually agree on everything. We actually agree on most of the hard stuff. That's a good thing. So maybe it's not actually the politicians that are the problem. Maybe we're creating that. So the first lesson I want to share with you today is experience. This sounds so simple, but it's actually not that straightforward. And the word experience really matters here. I want to be clear first what I'm not talking about. I am not talking about this ubiquitous getting involved that we all talk about. Getting involved can mean so many things. Some so helpful and some so unhelpful. Getting involved can mean ranting on Facebook. Getting involved can be going crazy on Twitter. Getting involved can mean attending a march or a demonstration, patting ourselves on the back because we feel like we just changed the world, and going home and resuming our life as normal without interruption. Now, I am all for freedom of expression, and it's a very important hallmark of our society. But is that type of getting involved really moving the needle? You be the judge. So why isn't all this getting involved working? I mean, we see so many people involved now, but it's really not helping our national dialogue. Well, today we feel the need to publicize our views on everything. The more divisive the issue, the more we feel the world needs to know how we feel about it and where we stand. We publicize this over multiple channels, or at least our favorite all the time, whether it's Instagram or you pick, whatever. We are constantly in broadcast mode. And when we're in broadcast mode, a couple things happen. First of all, we lose the ability to receive. This is really important. So think about this as a two-way radio or a toggle switch. We are either in broadcast mode or we are in receive mode. We're either pushing to talk or we're waiting to listen. Our brains simply can't do both. Another curious thing happens when we're in broadcast mode. We end up dividing the world around us into 2 very distinct groups of people. people who agree with us, and people who don't. People who are right, people who are wrong. Good guys, bad guys. Enlightened, a little backwoods. Tolerant, racist. Then we stand on our side of the issue with all of our like-minded friends, or virtual friends, take your pick. And from this safe, warm, echo chamber cocoon, we lob verbal and emotional grenades at the opposition. And we truly see this as the enemy. We no longer care who these people are, where they come from, why they believe differently than we do, what their reasons are. We only want to destroy their perspective because they are wrong. They are other. Yeah, and then we want our elected officials to rule in this reasonable, moderate way. We've got to change, and we can do it. We agree on all this stuff, which is awesome, even the hard stuff, yay. But we create this super divisive environment. Why is this happening? Well, I'm going to go on the record today and say it is absolutely no longer productive to voice your opinion on every issue. That time has passed. When you are constantly on broadcast mode, it is dangerous. You can no longer receive information, which means you stop growing, you stop learning, and you don't change your mind anymore. That's scary. You start to alienate people around you. You start to limit your audience and therefore your influence. Sometimes we lose professionalism, and oftentimes we make impressions that are nearly impossible to erase. So right now I'm going to give you permission and say it is okay not to know where you stand on every single issue or why. It's okay to admit you need more information. It's okay to change your mind. It's even okay to remain silent while you're figuring it out, I promise. So why experience, you ask? Well, education's just not enough. It's too neat and tidy, it's too clean, it's too sanitary, it happens in too much of a vacuum. Experience is how we really understand the process in a way that we can work within it and try to work effectively to change it. That's the only way. Real life is messy, it's gray, it's marginal and nebulous and all of these things that education isn't. So we need that experience. It's really important. Real life is uncomfortable, and we're about to get uncomfortable, and that's a good thing, I promise. When you're trying to figure out what kind of experience is actually going to be helpful, there's only one question you need to ask yourself. Are you uncomfortable? If the answer is yes, congratulations, it's working. We want you to be uncomfortable. That is where the growth happens. If you've ever spent much time in a canoe, as I'm fortunate to do, living near beautiful Eagle Creek, you know that when you are faced with an oncoming obstacle, say a big boulder, there's only one way to guarantee safe passage. And it doesn't matter if you're paddling a Class 4 rapid in Jackson Hole or you're on a serene pond. The way to do it is still the same. You have to lean into the obstacle. As soon as you're about to make contact, you have to thrust all of your momentum toward the rock, and then your canoe will automatically correct, and you'll pass really easily by. Trust me, I've done it a lot. But our instinct tells us to do the opposite. It tells us to lean away from the rock. We don't want to hit that rock. We don't want to lean toward it. We don't want we don't want any of it. It's uncomfortable. But as soon as we do that, the canoe fills with water and we capsize. Choosing discomfort takes practice. It's something that you have to conscientiously do. At first, it won't feel right, and you're going to have to force yourself. It's not fun in the beginning, but eventually it will become almost instinctual. And that is the only thing that will allow you to get the experience you need to be more effective in changing the system and being a more effective agent for change in your community. So why am I the one talking about this? Well, when I kind of made a snap decision and decided to run for office 3 years ago, you know, I'd always been somebody who was really active in the community. I was a business owner, I was a homeowner, I'd done the requisite charity work. You know, I volunteered for 10 years to do a lot of economic impact issues in my community and helped small business through the chamber. And I felt really good about all that. It was fun, it looked great on my resume. It was all very neat, very tidy, very comfortable. And in other words, I was really good at getting involved. And I learned some things, it was awesome. But then one day, I kind of accidentally ran for office. I found myself, that's another talk. I found myself in the middle of a hugely contentious race that was highly competitive, and I wasn't supposed to win. I mean, I believed I could win, but no one else really thought I could. And I won. Here I am. That's crazy. But what I didn't realize in those moments was that in 3 years, I would learn a lot. But I would learn a lesson that has been more valuable than the 10 to 15 years of getting involved I had before that. And here it is. When you choose to stand knee-deep in discomfort, that is the single best thing you can do to become a more effective leader and a greater agent for change. So how does this have to do with you? You're like, okay, why are you telling me this? So the people who have no appetite for politics, particularly today, are exactly who we need. Exactly. If you're sitting in your seat going, gross, yeah, we need you. We need you to be volunteers. We need you to be staff. We need you to be candidates. And if you're like me, at least the 3 years ago me, you might be sitting in your chair going, ugh, politics is never gonna be my thing. Give me another option, lady. Well, first of all, to you, I would say never. Trust me, I didn't think this would ever happen either. But secondly, it's all good. There are myriad ways to get involved in a nonpartisan way. So many things you can do. You can look into joining your local crime watch. Get involved with your local village or homeowners association or neighborhood organization and start going to meetings. Find a candidate that you love, who cares what party they're in, and just support them and help them win. And when they win, hold them accountable and help them be a better leader. You can also go to your town clerk or your city manager and ask what upcoming vacancies are going to become available for city boards or municipal commissions. And here's a pro tip for you. Local and municipal government is the single biggest thing that affects our everyday lives, not Washington. And much of that is nonpartisan. You can get involved without getting in the trenches and getting super dirty. So go do it. So is discomfort fun? No, not at first. But I promise it gets easier. And pretty soon, if you do it enough, it will become almost instinctive. And it's the only way you can really get the kind of experience that you need to be a better contributor, a more thoughtful citizen, and someone who can really be a leader in your community. So I'd like you to imagine with me for a minute. Let's take a deep breath. Okay, let's picture a society that looks a little different than the hashtags I read in the beginning of the talk. What if we learned as a society to stand on opposite sides of the issue with only the intention of finding common ground and moving forward together? Wouldn't that be nice? What if we admired the courage, the integrity, and the work ethic of our elected officials, as we once did in this nation? What if election years no longer made us cringe, but instead gave us a sense of pride and purpose in shaping our future? What if I told you you could get this messy, real-world experience that will help you be an immediate part of the solution? The news is good, folks. It's time to go get uncomfortable, because that is the way we bridge the political divide and move forward together. Thank you very much.